Welcome to the Customs University YouTube channel, episode 2. Today we are going to see recording of statement at customs. You will be surprised to see why we have brought a customs enforcement topic up front as episode 2. This is the reason. At Sri Lanka Customs, nearly 18 branches or units register an average of 4,300 cases per year according to the published statistics of last 4 years. That means there are around 18 cases registered every working day, or in other words, 2 cases registered every hour. According to this information, if you look at the statements, we can estimate around 6,000 to 10,000 statements are recorded a year. In other words, 20 to 40 statements recorded at customs every day in different branches. So that make you little scary, but then it is an important subject, as that's why we have brought it today up front here. A statement is an oral evidence in the evidence ordinance. The written statement is not a document per se. Now let's see. Firstly, we must understand under customs ordinance, we have to differentiate two things. One, giving information and an oral statement to a customs officer. Giving a written and signed statement to the customs officer. Two different things handled by different provisions of the customs ordinance. Now first, if you see, a customs officer who is authorized by the collector to do an investigation has the authority to call any person related to that particular case and asking him to give information or bring the books or documents or some samples. You have no choice. Nobody can refuse it. It is a authority given under the ordinance. But when it comes to a written or signed statement, it is always a voluntary statement. If you want, you can refuse it if the customs officer wants. But my advice is, don't try to do that, because if you refuse a written statement, two things can happen. One, your statement won't go into record as that you have said something on the particular day to the customs officer, unless it is signed statement. Second, the same question, same thing can come up in the customs inquiry again. At that point, you won't be having any choice unless to answer. So it is better to answer in a written statement which is signed by you and give it to the customs officer. Voluntary statement, we said, when you give a statement under oath, but customs ordinance doesn't push you that you must give a statement if the customs officer asks. So that is the first thing we must understand. Under that, we have to understand one more thing, that you should not give too many statements in a particular case. Now in a case, I know 10 statements were recorded from an accused person. That shows the customs officer is not organized, or he is trying to make a case out of what is coming out of your mouth. So I think after second statement, you can politely refuse and say that anything further I can say that in a customs inquiry. That is the first one. Second one, in order to give information or an oral statement or even a written statement to customs, you must always ask for a written order sent to you, signed by an executive officer not less than a superintendent of customs, which says, please come on such and such a day to record statement on this particular day. They will also give you a case number at that point. Never go to give a statement on a telephone call. That may go against you one day or another. Now once that letter is written, remember the letter also have to come to your official address by a registered post. A separate customs ordinance provision is there that customs must send that on a registered post. Long time the lawyers knows about the postal route. So these two you must find out every time you are asked to come to customs to record statement. That is the second thing. Now this so-called written order is not a summons, remember that. Summons is what the word we use for when you are called for a customs inquiry. So don't miss these two words. Right? It's only just a written letter. Now the third one. When you go and give a statement, it is under oath, remember. So always tell the truth. Now don't try to give a story you created because you are having a lot of experience in the industry so that you can deceive customs. Remember, an experienced or a smart customs officer within no time can smell your story. Once he smells that, then your life is going to be misery because he will ask more difficult question. Then there's no way that you can get out of that, and he will search more evidence to contradict your statement. Now that will be a difficult thing and a punishable offence under the customs ordinance itself when you are contradicting a statement. So you must be remembering this as a primary rule, always tell the truth. Now the fourth one, let's see, that's very, very important. Answer any question put by the customs officer, but it has to be relative to customs only. Customs ordinance, at least in 6 places, put these phrases, the relative to customs. So what do you mean by relative to customs? If it is an importation, from the time you order goods, your negotiation, you had with the shipper, the banking documents, then the shipment arrives, then you clear, then you take it to an examination warehouse, you examine the cargo, then from there you load and take it to a storage point or to the seller. Up to that point you stop. The relative to customs work only that point only, not beyond that. For example, if the customs officer asks for how much you sell this cargo, to whom you sold this cargo, you need not answer any of these questions. What is your normal profit margin? How much profit you get? You don't have to answer. Why? All these things are allocated to another government department called Inland Revenue. They are the officers who has to find out how much profit you made out of this importation for VAT and tax purposes. So customs officer can't get into the periphery of Inland Revenue officers under the law. So you have to be careful on that. But when I said up to the storage point, there are generally 3 exceptions. Normal importation is like that. There are 3 exceptions. One, if it is a conditional release or a conditional waiver or under a facilitation scheme, the customs officer can ask further question to what happened to the goods, maybe even for a period that you have agreed to keep or do something for that goods, like bonding and other things. So those things are only exception. Generally, the question had to stop at the point of the goods arriving at your warehouse. Right. Now we will come to the 5th one. Now you are not required to answer any personal question. Where is your wife working? How many children you have? Whether you have paid income tax? How much income tax you paid? No. None of those questions are matter for customs. Remember, you remember last time I said customs has only 2 jobs, taxation and control. None of this goes closer to that. Now, your wife's job has nothing to do with it won't change the taxation of customs. Remember that. Like that, the customs ordinance is very specific. It says only relative to customs the questions can be asked, and under section 8 when it comes to the inquiry, only relative to customs the statements are made, that portion only can be inquired by an inquiry officer. Right. Now, another important thing is that you should not pass the ball to another person. You should not say, please, you can ask from my wharf manager, ask from my accountant. Don't do that. If you know, yes, I don't know, sorry, I don't know. Sorry, I am not aware of this. I am not sure about this. Those are perfect answers. There is no problem there. You don't have to give details of that where customs officer build the case from your mouth. So let the customs officer do his own investigation. Only what is in your mind, what you know, up to that you say that and stop. Now remember, whatever you have not answered, it is going to come up again in the inquiry before the inquiry officer. At that time, of course, you may have your legal counsel by the side, and the inquiry officer may decide whether you should answer or you can avoid answering that question. At that time, he will help you at that point. In one more last point there is that we will elaborate that when we come back to this topic again, is that inducement, threat and promise cannot be given when they record a statement. I can tell you in a Supreme Court case, customs case, where Director of Customs Mr. D. Silva was found later given indirect threat and also has given certain promises to that first accused number 1 to go against the second accused. So the Supreme Court has found fault with the customs and the whole case was thrown out, everybody was released. Unfortunately, the case was, the accused were caught red-handed with the smuggled goods. With all that, customs lost the case because the statement recorded wrongly with threat and promise. Now, with that, we will come back to this point again, and in the next episode, a lot of my friends asked to go into some current topic. So we will be looking at the legality of the digital signature at customs. This is a hot topic at the moment. So I will try to show you with documents and the legal documents why at the moment digital signature is not legally possible at customs. Right? I will show it to you, but remember one thing, digital signature is a very good thing. One day or another we must go for it. So we will meet you again in the next episode. Before that, I had to tell you one more thing. Please subscribe to this channel, because subscribing is the only way that the producers will get encouragement. Subscription is free of charge. Once you subscribe, also press the bell button. Then you will get a notification with the link directly to you. Thank you very much.